Today is Monday, March, what the heck is 18th, 19th? March 20th, 21st, 2016, and this will be in response to Dr. Paul Krugman's article in today's New York Times on Invincible Ignorance. Now, what Dr. Krugman is talking about is our good friends at the Republican Party, especially Paul Ryan. And by invincible, I mean impossible to overcome or defeat, meaning their ignorance is there's just no getting around it. So we have Paul Ryan, our Speaker of the House, head of the Republican Party, technically, who is what is referred to as a serious, honest conservative because he spouts out all of this stuff. He is very sincere about it, and it's all a con job. That's all it's ever been. But he's looking so serious, and he talks about all this stuff that you want to believe him. Now, I'm a Roman Catholic. Or I'd like to say an RC, but the RC really means that I'm a recovering Catholic. And I know that Ryan is a big Catholic, and he's such a con man that almost every time I hear him speak, I think he needs to be going to confession, every single day. Now, yesterday was Palm Sunday, and I just happened to be reading the book on Matthew, and I was reading it specifically for historical and spiritual aspects, not because of the religious aspect, and I was, as funny as it may seem, I was right at the Beatitudes and the Sermon on the Mount. And all of the things that Paul Ryan talks about has absolutely nothing to do with what the Sermon of the Mount is all about and all of those Beatitudes. Now, there's about 30 of them. I read most of them yesterday, and we usually only look at the first 5 or 10. But he doesn't espouse any of those views at all. Now, the reason why Dr. Krugman brings this up is because, in all likelihood, forget about Trump, is that in all likelihood, right now, the money is basically, come January, Hillary Clinton will be president of the United States, and that Paul Ryan will be the Speaker of the House. And he had an interview with John Harwood at CNBC, which I took a look at and read, and Dr. Krugman asks, with all of this stuff going on, you'd think they may have learned something. What has the Speaker of the House learned? Absolutely a big fat zero. Like he's getting 0 on the test. Now again, say what you will about Trump, that's one thing. But one thing we found out with Trump is that the Republican base is really, really not that interested in the tax policies of the serious, honest, conservative, corporate elitists of the Republican Party. They really don't care about them. But, again, that's all that we're going to be hearing from those serious, honest conservatives is a tax policy which will propose decreasing taxes as far as the eye could see, greater than the Bush taxes. This is what Rubio had done. This is what Cruz will do. This is what Kasich will do. And who knows what Trump will do. But you see, Ryan is continuing to espouse those types of taxes. And of course, he's got that from his Ayn Rand philosophy. So you take the Ayn Rand philosophy, whatever that is, and then you take the Jesus Christ philosophy of the Sermon on the Mount. And even though Paul says he's a good Catholic boy, and he probably didn't even steal any wine like we used to do back in the day, he really is following, this concept that never worked, never has worked, and never will work. And he's saying it so seriously because he's just conning everybody about it. So they all want tax cuts for the rich that are even greater than Bush's, and the fallacy is that this has gone on for a long, long time, that they advocated these things, probably when Cheney was in the White House working for Ford, and they came up with, I think, what's called the Laffer curve. And the only way for it to be considered is by throwing out as much doublespeak as possible. And one of the recent doublespeaks that we hear from Paul Ryan is static distribution. But we know that this doesn't work, and it's been proven that it hasn't worked from two other big Roman Catholics, Bobby Jindal down in Louisiana and Sam Brownback in Kansas, where their state policies of cutting taxes for the rich has allowed the state to not be able to pay its bills, so that, as an example, in Kansas, school districts had to close a couple weeks early because they didn't have enough money to pay for all that. And Louisiana has very similar issues, especially when it comes to things that would help or, let's say, make things a little bit easier for poor people. And again, say what you will about Trump, all of the Republican leaders firmly believe in what George Bush, the Poppy, used to call voodoo economics. And of course, what we really have here is the case of the GOP is really nothing more than the Walking Dead. You know, they're zombies, but you see, zombies are people who are dead but don't know they're dead and they're walking around. They're zombies, but they think that they're really, like Jesus Christ, they've been reincarnated. They haven't been reincarnated. They've been throwing out the same happy horse crap about decreasing taxes on the rich, that it'll pay for itself. And because it'll pay for itself, with all of the engine of economic growth that'll happen, that we'll even get more money in our coffers for the government. It's never happened. It never can happen. It never will happen. And the only way they can justify even coming remotely close is by throwing out a lot of doublespeak, a lot of gobbledygook, talking about and acting as if they're the serious, honest conservatives, throwing out the debt, which is easily manageable, but the ways that it could be easily manageable, they'll never consider, because they've fallen in line. They're dead. They're walking dead. They're zombies, but they think they're reincarnated. And guess what? This will continue to play over and over and over again, because they don't have anything else to play.